Giannis Antetokounmpo went from winning back-to-back MVPs and a Defensive Player of the Year to not being in the MVP conversation at all. The funny thing is that he's 26 years old and he's only gotten better. Giannis is having one of the best individual seasons ever, just like last year, but no one wants to talk about it. People are leaving him out of MVP conversations, and I know this seems crazy to say, but this year, Giannis Antetokounmpo is grossly underrated. Let's take a quick look at the stats. These are some from his back-to-back MVP seasons, and this is his this year. The stats are comparable to his other seasons, and he doesn't seem to get enough credit for it this year. But you might say, hey Preston, stats don't even tell the whole story. Well, when you're comparing two different players, stats can be misleading in some cases, but when looking at the same player, that often means that they aren't skewed because they have pretty much the exact same playstyle, and this is just a different year. When comparing him to other players around the league, these stats don't even mention his defensive impact at all. He won the Defensive Player of the Year award last year, and his defense hasn't regressed. You can compare Giannis' stats to LeBron's, and I'll just let you see who's better. LeBron is putting up 26, 8 and 8, but Giannis is putting up 29, 12 and 6. You may want to bring up winning. And after Anthony Davis left due to injury, it's exposing the flaw in the argument. You can tell that they are missing a second star and just don't look as good. At the recording of this video, the Lakers are 3-6 during the past 9 games without Anthony Davis. Giannis doesn't even have an all-star on his team this year, and they're only 3 games away from the number 1 record in the East. Chris Middleton has been playing amazing this season, just like his past 2 all-star years, but that just goes to show that Giannis isn't the only one being overlooked, but the Bucks are as well. But the reason I believe Giannis is so overlooked this season is because of fatigue. You can't just give someone 3 MVPs in a row. He hasn't had any real playoff success. But that argument is so flawed. The MVP award should go to the most valuable player of that regular season and nothing else. Bringing up things like longevity, like LeBron is 36, has nothing to do with the MVP argument. When comparing players and who's better, especially all time, that is a valid argument, but in an MVP race, it's useless. Another thing is bringing out any past performances. I don't care if they had a disappointing or incredible playoff performance before. Again, and I can't stress this enough, when comparing 2 players in general, that's a perfectly valid point. But in terms of the MVP discussions, it should never be brought up in the first place. But not only that, people don't want to give him his 3rd straight MVP because take a look at his company. He would be the 4th player in history to ever do such a thing. Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, and Larry Bird are the only players to ever do that. MJ never did that, and LeBron never did that, and that's the thing. It's not about the company that's up there, but many people think it is. Michael Jordan and LeBron are obviously better than all those players, but the MVP award isn't who is the best player, but instead the more important ones to a successful regular season team, and Bill Russell, Wilt, and Larry all deserved it those seasons. I don't think the problem is always in our consciousness. When we see a player putting on a disappointing performance, we see them as a lesser player than what we thought prior. Giannis definitely isn't perfect, and he has struggled in the playoffs. He blew a 2-0 lead against the Raptors in 2019, losing 4 straight, and last year got blown out by the heavily underdog Heat. This keeps drilling in the thought of Giannis being a bad player. It becomes ingrained in our head that he can't lead a team in the playoffs, which has a negative connotation, thus thinking negative thoughts when Giannis' name comes up. That's like when someone says a lie enough, it becomes true, which is a perfect way to describe what's happening with people's viewpoints on Giannis this year. He has repeatedly underperformed in the playoffs, and not only that, people say that, which further ingrains the concept of Giannis being a lesser player than he actually is. And that's just not fair, but it's something we can't fully control. We can try to narrow down our reasoning to this year's regular season and try to strictly contemplate that. but that's not what everyone's going to do. It's a shame. And I'm not saying I think Giannis deserves the MVP so far this year. I personally have Joel Embiid winning the award, but what I am saying is that Giannis should be in some serious MVP conversation. And it's not only Giannis that's underrated this season, but the Bucks as well. And again, I wouldn't bet on the Bucks making it out of the East, but you can make the argument that they will. A lot of people are overlooking Giannis and the Bucks, but maybe that's not a bad thing. In previous years, the Bucks easily had the best record in the league, and they had huge expectations that came with it. Now, if they're more of underdogs and more overlooked, they won't feel as much pressure and could potentially do better and exceed people's expectations. Being in the spotlight isn't always a good thing, and maybe this is what the Bucks need. And remember when I was saying Giannis has been underperforming in the playoffs, and that's why people think less of him? Well, that's true and warranted when we are looking at him as a player, but we need to be patient. We don't need to rush Giannis to a championship, and if he doesn't, he just sucks. Players need to fail before they succeed. Let's look at some of the best players to ever play the game of basketball. Michael Jordan was 28 when he won his first championship. LeBron was 27, Shaq was 28, Durant was 28, and Curry was 27. Giannis is only 26 years old. That means if he wins this year, he would win a championship before all those all-time greats. We don't need to pressure him so much to win now, but that already started about 2 years ago. He signed that Supermax deal for a reason. He trusts Milwaukee to help him compete for a championship, and we already know he has the work ethic. A championship is never a guarantee, but only time will tell if he gets one. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe for future basketball content, and thank you for watching.